the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know, you got people calling me. Call me yourself, because this right here is going to go viral. The way my job works on the internet, everybody's going to be clipping, sharing on TikTok. Watch this.
You see, I think I sent you that thing with Jazz. Jazz went in when they was going at it, Bo and Jay. But you look at the Jazz now, it's like he's on eggshells now. Like something happened. Like this can stop your career or whatever you doing. This is what I try to tell dudes, yo, whatever God got for you, I don't give a damn billionaire, whoever, this, that, and the third. You can't stop it.
Prince's final social media post wasn't just a warning, it was a death sentence. The message was cryptic, but the people he called out knew exactly what it meant. In the months leading up to his 2016 tragedy, Prince had uncovered something dark, a trail of manipulation and shady deals that reached deep into Jay-Z and Beyonce's empire. Those closest to him claim he was getting ready to blow the lid off what he believed was a massive deception. He was reportedly planning to expose how the couple's flashy business network, fronted by their streaming service Tidal, was allegedly built on fake deals, silenced artists, and contracts that outlived the very people who signed them. Just 6 days after hinting online that his fans weren't safe, the man who fought harder than anyone for musicians' rights was suddenly gone, leaving the world stunned and suspicious. But the story didn't end there. Behind closed doors, a quiet legal fight began, and it's only grown louder. In July 2024, the Prince estate dropped explosive court papers accusing Tidal and Roc Nation of falsifying and even backdating documents to snatch control of over 500 of his songs. The accusations shook the industry, and it's clear that whatever Prince was uncovering didn't disappear with him. What those court filings reveal isn't just a business disagreement. It's being called a full-blown criminal setup. According to the Prince estate, this wasn't about licensing or royalties. It was a calculated scheme to rewrite history, fake ownership papers, and exploit an artist's legacy while the world was still mourning his death. The very platform that once claimed to protect musicians might have used Prince's passing as the perfect moment to grab hold of his entire life's work for themselves. The twist in all this hits hard. Back in 2015, Prince was one of Tidal's loudest supporters. He even went public praising Jay-Z's platform for finally showing real respect to musicians. At that point, Prince truly believed Tidal was a safe space, away from the greedy corporations that had long owned and controlled artists' creative freedom. He thought Jay-Z understood his mission. The same battle Prince began way back in the 90s when he wrote "Slave" across his face to protest the record label system that trapped artists in unfair contracts. But insiders now claim that trust was twisted and turned against him. At the center of this chaos lies a mysterious document called the Equity Term Sheet. Tidal insists it granted them permanent control over hundreds of Prince's recordings, but Prince's own representatives have fought back, saying that agreement was never legitimate. During the negotiations, Phaedra Ellis-Lampkins dropped a bombshell. She told investigators that her own communications with the company didn't line up with the version of the contract Tidal showed in court. According to the Prince estate's legal team, the document Tidal presented wasn't just suspicious. They claim it was flat-out fabricated and secretly backdated to July 2015, months before Prince's death, just to make it look real. If that accusation holds true, it shakes the entire foundation of Tidal's ownership to the ground, and it raises one haunting question. If Prince never signed those papers, then who did? Behind that mystery, investigators say there's something much bigger at play, the shadow of a full-blown cover-up. The theory? A desperate move to lock down a billion-dollar music catalog at any cost. Not long after Prince's tragic passing in April 2016, Tidal suddenly began streaming his entire discography, from his early classics all the way to rare, unreleased vault tracks. But according to filings from NPG Records, none of it had official approval. They claim Tidal moved in fast, uploading everything without authorization, as if someone wanted to make sure the music was out before anyone could stop them. Tidal's team seemed to bet that the Prince estate would be too overwhelmed to fight back, and for a while, that gamble actually worked. For months, Prince's music dominated the platform, racking up millions in revenue while his own heirs couldn't even log into his accounts. It was a shocking power play that left the family scrambling for answers. Then came Jay-Z's public response. In 2017, he dropped the track "Caught Their Eyes" on his 444 album, a song that felt like both a statement and a warning. Without naming names or cases, Jay-Z painted himself as Prince's trusted ally, saying they'd spoken eye to eye and that only he truly understood what the late icon wanted. On the surface, it sounded like a heartfelt defense. But to the Prince estate, it felt like a slick attempt to rewrite the story. Those same filings Jay-Z brushed off as greed reportedly showed gaps and inconsistencies between the supposed contract and every verified piece of Prince's actual communication records. That timing, dropping those lyrics right after the estate filed its lawsuit, hit many as a bold jab, not a tribute. At the heart of the backlash stood Londale McMillan, Prince's longtime attorney and the man Jay-Z accused of seeing green through purple eyes. McMillan didn't stay silent. He fired back publicly, reminding everyone that he was the one who helped Prince finally remove the word slave from his face, a symbol of the very fight Prince spent his life waging for artist freedom. McMillan didn't hold back. He accused Jay-Z's companies of trying to seize control over exactly what Prince had spent his entire life defending: the right to choose how his art was used. His version of events lined up perfectly with the estate's stance, that there was never any binding contract giving Tidal full rights to Prince's catalog, only a short-term streaming deal for one album. But behind all those public statements and legal filings, a much darker rumor was quietly circulating, one that came straight from Prince himself. According to close friends, in early 2016, Prince confided that he felt powerful industry players were disguising manipulation as creative freedom. He allegedly told his inner circle that behind closed doors, some artists were being cornered, pressured to sign impossible contracts or forced into loyalty tests that went way beyond music. Even more chilling, Prince hinted that a few of those names belonged to the same elite circle tied to Tidal. Whether those claims can ever be proven or not, they cast a haunting glow over the secrecy that surrounded his final months. And now, the July 2024 lawsuit has thrown gasoline on those suspicions. Among the evidence demanded by the Prince estate are private emails and messages between Tidal executives, Rock Nation lawyers, and Phaedra Ellis Lampkins herself. But here's where it gets even wilder. The defendants are refusing to hand those communications over, hiding behind something called a common interest doctrine. Legal insiders say that's a major red flag. That term usually applies when people are working together on a joint defense, not when they're in a simple business deal. Experts believe that could mean the withheld messages might expose deep coordination between multiple companies, possibly even showing how Prince's signature was forged to gain control of his legacy. The Prince estate insists that those hidden messages are the smoking gun, the key proof that could blow the whole case wide open. But while they push for answers, Jay-Z's team has tried to steer the story in a different direction, claiming that Prince personally wanted his music to stay with Tidal. Still, insiders say that version doesn't hold up. According to several people who work closely with him, Prince's faith in Tidal had already started to crack by late 2015, right after he discovered that the platform had uploaded songs beyond the single album he agreed to share. They say that realization hit him hard. Prince felt tricked, boxed in, and furious that a company he thought stood for artistic freedom might have crossed the line. Those same insiders reveal that he was preparing to take legal action when he posted that chilling message on April 15, 2016. Just when you thought you were safe, the words now sound like a warning wrapped in fear. Then, only 6 days later, heartbreaking news came out of Minneapolis. Prince had been found unresponsive inside an elevator at Paisley Park. The official report called it an accidental overdose from prescribed medication, but many close to him struggled to believe that was the full story. They remembered how in his final weeks, Prince had installed new security cameras, fired several staff members he thought were leaking information, and even told friends that the elevator symbolized dark forces moving within the music industry. So when Jay-Z later dropped the lyric, "We're never gonna let the elevator take him down," it didn't sound like comfort to everyone. To some, it felt like an eerie sign that he knew exactly what Prince had been talking about. Since Prince's passing, the storm hasn't calmed. It's only gotten louder. The estate's latest filings accuse Tidal of still profiting from his catalog long after being told to pull it down. And now, brand new whistleblowers have stepped up, claiming that Tidal's internal accounting systems were hiding royalty payments not just from Prince's estate, but from other artists too. That revelation hit the industry like a lightning bolt. Everything happening now sounds like the exact warning Prince had been shouting about for years, that streaming platforms were becoming the new gatekeepers, controlling music in ways even record labels never dared. He always said the myth of artist ownership was just another illusion, a trick to make creators think they had power when they really didn't. This legal war feels like a mirror of that truth. Jay-Z, once celebrated as the blueprint for independence and fairness, is now being painted in court filings as the very kind of industry boss that Prince spent decades fighting against. The irony is sharp enough to cut glass. For a man who built his image around freedom and integrity, being accused of manipulating deals to seize another legend's master's hits right at the heart of everything he claimed to represent. And the biggest question still hangs heavy. Why keep all this buried? Sources close to the estate whisper about deeper money motives. They believe the real prize isn't just Prince's existing catalog, but his vault, a legendary treasure trove rumored to hold thousands of unreleased tracks. Gaining control of that could make Tidal powerful again, especially now that its influence in the streaming world has faded. And for Jay-Z and Beyoncé, whose fortune is tied to their streaming and publishing empire, that control could be worth billions.
So, as we look at Jay-Z's life, he's a billionaire, married to Beyonce. Do you feel like he's truly reaped the karma of all his actions?
Where the karma is at?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We don't see.
Nah, well.
Or do you feel like he ever will?
I feel like if you done people wrong, you know you done people wrong.
Losing control of Prince's catalog would be a crushing blow, but the mystery stretches way past business deals and paperwork. Those digging into the final timeline say the clues point to something far deeper than contracts or royalties. Prince's digital trail in his last weeks reveals a man surrounded by tension, secrecy, and growing fear. He started canceling shows, avoiding public events, and speaking in cryptic messages about energy vampires and silent battles too dangerous to name. It's as if he knew the clock was ticking. Whether that fear came from real threats or clever manipulation, no one can say for sure. Losing control of Prince's catalog would be a crushing blow, but the mystery stretches way past business deals and paperwork. Those digging into the final timeline say the clues point to something far deeper than contracts or royalties. Prince's digital trail in his last weeks reveals a man surrounded by tension, secrecy, and growing fear. He started canceling shows, avoiding public events, and speaking in cryptic messages about energy vampires and silent battles too dangerous to name. It's as if he knew the clock was ticking. Whether that fear came from real threats or clever manipulation, no one can say for sure. But one thing is certain, his warning wasn't symbolic at all. Prince's final posts and private messages now look less like poetry and more like breadcrumbs, proof that he had stumbled into something powerful people didn't want him to expose. And now, with the 2024 lawsuit dragging new evidence into the light, from internal memos to delayed fund transfers and unsigned documents linked to Tidal's leadership, the scope of this situation is finally becoming clear. What's forming isn't just a fight over music ownership anymore. It's a high-stakes struggle over legacy control. Who holds the power to shape an artist's story long after they're gone? At its core, this entire story isn't just about music. It's about truth itself. Prince's final message wasn't a shot at one company or one artist. It was a warning about what happens when real creative independence threatens an empire built on control and ownership. And when you trace the connections between that message and the tragedy that unfolded inside Paisley Park, one haunting question refuses to fade. Was Prince's silence the price of what he uncovered, or the beginning of a reckoning that's still playing out today? His death didn't just take away his voice, it wiped out evidence and left power in the hands of those who seemed to gain the most. The very people he was looking into ended up protected by legal walls that seemed designed to keep the truth buried. Not long after his passing, Jay-Z's legal team invoked the common interest doctrine, a quiet but strategic move that gave them the right to withhold internal emails shared between Tidal, Roc Nation, and Prince's former associate for Ellis Lampkins. On paper, it looked like a routine legal tactic, but behind closed doors, it acted like a fortress. A wall meant to shield whoever had created or approved those suspicious contracts that the estate says were forged. And the tactic worked almost too well. Those communications, the ones that could have proven who falsified the paperwork, disappeared behind layers of confidentiality claims. To this day, no one outside Jay-Z's inner circle has seen them. The silence around those files feels louder than ever, and it leaves the world wondering just how deep this mystery really goes. The common interest doctrine was meant to protect co-defendants sharing a united legal defense, but in this case, it turned into a wall of silence. What was supposed to be a shield became a fortress, keeping critical evidence locked away from the very people fighting for the truth. Industry insiders whisper that those hidden emails could have revealed who really drafted the mysterious equity term sheet, the same document accused of being forged to hand over control of Prince's catalog. Without access to them, the Prince estate was left fighting half-blind, relying only on circumstantial clues, while Jay-Z's legal team repeated the same line, that everything had been personally approved by Prince himself. It was a master move, delay, deny, and bury the truth under piles of legal paperwork until the public's attention drifted away. But Lawndale McMillan wasn't about to disappear quietly. As Prince's longtime lawyer and one of the few people who knew exactly what the artist had really signed before his death, McMillan became a key witness and a serious threat to the official story. Jay-Z even called him out in the track Caught Their Eyes, accusing him of greed and betrayal. But McMillan fired back hard in interviews with Billboard and other outlets, calling Jay-Z's version a lie and setting the record straight. He reminded the world that he was the one who helped Prince escape the suffocating record contracts of the 90s, the same kind of exploitation Tidal once claimed to be fighting against. To many watching from the outside, Jay-Z's lyrical attack on McMillan didn't look personal at all. It looked calculated, because if they could drag the messenger's name through the mud, they could destroy his credibility before the truth ever reached the courtroom. McMillan's warnings turned out to be chillingly accurate. By late 2017, the Prince Estate's legal team uncovered internal emails that looked like the smoking gun, messages suggesting that Tidal's contracts had been backdated to appear legitimate. It was the breakthrough they'd been waiting for. But then, everything took a dark turn. Just days before court experts were set to review those crucial files, the estate's servers were mysteriously hacked. The breach wiped out years of email correspondence, and conveniently, those very attachments that were about to expose the truth vanished without a trace. Investigators were never able to identify who did it, but the timing was just too perfect to dismiss. That same week, Roc Nation's lawyers filed motions to block further document requests, creating a wall of legal red tape right as the evidence disappeared. One insider close to the case didn't mince words, calling it digital sabotage disguised as coincidence. The phrase spread fast because it felt too on point, and it didn't stop there. Over the next few years, other music estates, smaller ones, the kind without Prince's global influence, started finding eerily similar issues in their own files. Former managers for Forgotten Soul and R&B acts came forward saying they'd discovered duplicate contracts buried in old archives that matched the same format and phrasing as the disputed Tidal papers. It painted a disturbing picture, one that hinted this wasn't just about Prince, it might have been part of something much bigger. In several of those cases, the signatures on the contracts didn't just look suspicious, they were flat out inconsistent. Some even appeared to have been lifted directly from older unrelated documents. The pattern was impossible to ignore. After each artist passed away, control of their music catalog somehow ended up flowing to the same streaming platform every time. Under the shiny banner of exclusivity and artist empowerment, a much darker reality was taking shape. Tidal wasn't just battling over Prince. Insiders say it was perfecting a whole system. The alleged strategy was simple but ruthless. Secure rights to the music of deceased or inactive artists, then claim the contracts were finalized while they were still alive. It looked legitimate on paper, but in reality, it turned priceless catalogs into digital gold mines locked under corporate control. Most estates didn't have the cash or legal firepower to fight back, and the public, flooded with nonstop headlines, lost interest before the truth ever made it to court. The few who spoke up paid the price. Lawndale McMillan's reputation took heavy hits, his name dragged through the press with stories painting him as greedy and unreliable. Phaedra Ellis Lampkins, who once worked closely with Prince's family, suddenly went quiet, telling friends she was under intense legal pressure from multiple directions. Even members of Prince's own estate began backing away, scared of mounting costs and the silent warnings circulating through the music world. By the time the first hearings wrapped up, the narrative had completely flipped. Jay-Z was being framed as the misunderstood visionary fighting for fairness, while Prince's defenders were recast as money-hungry heirs. It was a stunning twist, a perfect reversal straight out of the industry's oldest playbook. Meanwhile, the whispers started spreading fast, and they were getting louder. Industry insiders began connecting the same questionable tactics used in Prince's case to other big-name artists. In 2023, a former Roc Nation associate dropped a bomb on a podcast, claiming that similar contract adjustments had been used while negotiating streaming rights for several high-value catalogs, some belonging to stars who had passed away under sudden or mysterious circumstances. None of these claims have been officially proven, but the details line up almost too perfectly with what Prince's estate uncovered. One attorney close to the situation revealed that every time an artist's estate tried to question the altered contracts, they hit the same brick wall, that infamous common interest doctrine. The same legal shield that buried Prince's truth was reportedly being used again and again to block other families from getting answers. And the deeper this web goes, the bigger the picture becomes. Jay-Z and Beyonce's empire has long been built on image control. Every leak countered, every rumor redirected, every scandal silenced before it could grow. When Jaguar Wright and other former insiders accused Jay-Z of manipulating people behind the scenes, they were instantly dismissed as unstable. And when songwriters like Tiffany Red called out Beyonce's camp for silencing creators through harsh NDAs, the mainstream media barely reacted at all. But now, looking back through the lens of what happened to Prince, those scattered stories don't sound so random anymore. They start to connect, like fragments of a much larger pattern, a powerful network that protects its own, rewrites narratives, and quietly erases anyone who dares to challenge the system. We've seen how the missing evidence, the vanished emails, and the sudden silence of key witnesses all tie together, and every thread leads back to the same place. A streaming empire that once promised artistic freedom but delivered something far more sinister: ownership. At the center of it all stand two of the biggest names in music, icons whose billion-dollar legacy now depends on keeping those uncomfortable questions buried deep. As the estate's lawsuits crawl slowly through the courts, the pattern has become impossible to ignore. Files vanish, witnesses retract their statements, archives get accidentally corrupted. The deeper the digging goes, the more the truth seems to slip away. And maybe that's exactly how it was designed. That's why the industry still whispers about what Prince was really onto in those final days. Because he wasn't just fighting for control of his own music. He was uncovering a system built to outlive its victims. Those files that disappeared, they might have revealed everything. How the deals were made, who signed them, and how the industry quietly rewrites history while the world's distracted by the next headline. But someone made sure those truths stayed buried. Now, every time another artist's estate reports missing paperwork or mysterious contract changes, we can't help but ask, whose fingerprints are on it? Because let's be real, Prince wasn't the first artist Jay-Z's business machine locked horns with, and he probably won't be the last. So here's the real question. How many voices, how many careers have been quietly dismantled by this system, and how many more will vanish before someone finally stops it? Tell us what you think. Was this all just coincidence or the cost of challenging power itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe if you want to keep these stories alive. Stay curious, stay awake, and remember, in the music industry, the loudest silence often hides the darkest truth.